Hello, drama lovers, welcome to my Young and the Restless official channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Before we dive into today's content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and show some love by giving this video a like up. The Young and the Restless synopsis for March 22 suggests Kyle Abbott will have a clinic hint for Tracy Abbott, while Summer Newman brings alarming Phyllis Summers news throughout town. At Crimson Lights, Nick Newman will decline Sharon Newman's request to join her in Europe with Noah and Faith Newman. After Nick pushes Sharon to spend some time alone with their children, he will press for honesty and basically question whether she ever considers being a pair again. Nick will concede that he understands Sharon better than anybody else, and he can occasionally tell when she wants anything more. Sharon will admit that she thinks about the good times and has considered a reunion, but she will deny fantasizing about it. When Sharon presses Nick to be honest, he admits he has considered the prospect of them reconciling. However, Nick will acknowledge the anguish of the past and worry that he will simply screw things up. After Nick admits that he likes the way things are today, he promises Sharon that he would always be there for her. Sharon will still wonder whether there is anything she can do to persuade Nick to reconsider the Europe trip, so he will agree to think about it more. Summer will soon arrive with some unsettling updates, as Phyllis has been acting scattered and unstable since her kidnapping incident. Nick will race off to make sure Phyllis is okay, leaving Sharon unhappy. At the GCC, Tracy will tell Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott about her Paris wedding plans and seek for the use of the Jabbit jet to check out wedding venues with Alan Laurent alias Martin Laurent. Although Jack will be concerned about how quickly everything is happening, Tracy will be assured that she wants to marry Alan and will make predictions about their bright future. Tracy will say that Alan has never pretended to be anyone else and has always been completely himself. Kyle will soon join the chat, and he will inform everyone that Phyllis and Sharon were discovered safe. When Kyle learns about Alan's bizarre phone alerts concerning a security clinic breach, he will assume it's an odd coincidence. Kyle will tell that Sharon and Phyllis were detained at a clinic, unknowingly providing a kidnapping clue. Unfortunately, Tracy will not realize it either, and she will be concerned that the kidnappers may be targeting Alan if these messages are related to the captive drama. Jack will eventually dismiss Tracy's concerns because he wants her to enjoy the happiness she has discovered. Tracy's life will become even more bizarre when Alan calls to tell her that he is boarding a solo commercial aircraft to Paris and would want her to join him in a few days. Tracy will discuss a great surprise that Alan is planning, thus why and our spoilers indicate he may be building a trap for her. Chelsea Lawson will surprise Adam Newman with a special dinner at home to repay the favor, as he recently made one for her. After Adam and Chelsea discuss living in the moment and allowing themselves to be messy, they'll fall asleep together and create some wonderful memories. According to the Young and the Restless spoilers, Chelsea and Adam will continue to take things slowly for the time being, so stay tuned to see how long this happiness will endure. The Young and the Restless spoilers for March 22 suggest that Alan Laurent aka Martin Laurent will snap at Tracy Abbott's questions, while Billy Abbott seeks forgiveness from Phyllis Summers. At Billy's house, he'll update Sally Spectra on all the rescue drama, which will make her nervous because he could have walked into a trap. Billy will say that he had to step up for Phyllis, but he is quite satisfied to let the cops discover the kidnapper. Summer Newman and Daniel Romalotti Jr. will welcome Phyllis at the GCC, where she will eat a burger while spilling all of the secrets about her incarceration, including how Sharon Newman saved her life. Sharon will also tell Nick Newman about Phyllis saving her life with CPR while updating him at the cave. There will be some discussion about how the captor appeared to be well-versed in psychology because he knew exactly which buttons to hit. After comparing the encounter to an exorcism, Sharon admits that she was able to work through some of her past issues with Phyllis. When Chance Chancellor and his backup excavate around the room where Sharon and Phyllis were imprisoned, a clue will appear. Chance will find a remote-controlled gadget attached to the gas pipe and trace its purchase to a hardware store near Havenhurst. After telling Nick and Sharon the news, Chance will recommend they look over the security tape to see if anyone recognized appears. Given Sharon's ordeal, Chance will point out that no one would blame her for wanting to leave town for a bit. Nick will agree, therefore he will suggest that Sharon see Noah Newman in Europe and accompany Faith Newman. Sharon will agree to go if Nick does as well, so she will catch him off guard with her suggestion. Back at Billy's, Phyllis will become tearful as she begs him to let her join Abbott Communications. Billy will believe that Phyllis needs to recover from her tragedy, but she will argue that she needs work instead. Billy will admit that he did not include Phyllis' name on the press release because he initially feared she had abandoned him. Phyllis will forgive Billy immediately when he apologizes and asks for forgiveness, especially because he helped save her. On Monday's episode of Y&R, Phyllis will eventually draw Billy into her arms as the two share a romantic moment. At the GCC, Alan will appear agitated as he questions Tracy about what she is doing with his phone. Tracy will apologize for invading and explain that she was concerned about the strange sound it was producing. After Tracy mentions the strange security breach notification, Alan will act as if his phone was hacked. At one point, Alan suggests that identity theft may help him obtain a new perspective as a therapist. Tracy will receive another signal when a remote device is disconnected and the gas emission stops. That will raise further questions for Tracy, so Alan will yell at her before apologizing since he is anxious. When Alan suggests that their life together is all that matters, Tracy will consider wedding options with him. After Tracy proposes Paris as an alternative, Alan will decide they should take a flight there to look into potential venues. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Alan will continue to prophesy their bright future, but Tracy will face some heavy blows shortly. According to March 22 teasers for The Young and the Restless, Chance Chancellor will give away a clue as Martin Lawrence's big final begins. Let's discuss what lies ahead as Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman will also face their final opportunity to live. In captivity, Sharon and Phyllis would attempt to pinpoint the precise location of the camera within the room. In order to force the kidnapper to reveal his face, the plan is to switch it off and destroy his fun. But Phyllis and Sharon might face consequences for attempting to establish their own regulations. Martin, who appears to be impersonating his twin brother Alan Laurent, may strike back because this is a highly complex experiment that was planned with complete control in mind. Martin will undoubtedly have a great ending planned for this kidnapping disaster, regardless of the circumstances. There might be an explosive device with a countdown or possibly some kind of hazardous chemical pushed into the room, because Phyllis and Sharon will be fighting for their lives. Naturally, there's a chance that Alan will skip his engagement party with Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland, and visit Hagenhurst later. Is it possible that Alan will be caught there? In any case, according to Y&R teasers, Billy Abbott and Nick Newman will finally show up to the clinic with the intention of performing a rescue. They may be able to rescue the prisoners and possibly even expose Alan, as Chance will be close behind, and will bring updates on a clue. There should be some crazy moments because it sounds like Martin might lose control of his plot. Although there will be some terrifying turns in this kidnapping plot's culmination, Phyllis and Sharon will ultimately gain their freedom. Unfortunately, according to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Tracy will be devastated to learn that everything she believed to be true about Alan is false. Tracy will undoubtedly receive some heartbreaking news soon, even though she will keep forecasting her promising future with Alan. According to teasers on The Young and the Restless, Phyllis Summers is exhibiting some unsettling symptoms that could be problematic. Is it possible that Martin Laurent, also known as Alan Laurent, planned for some delayed poisoning effects? After consuming a bottle of water while in prison, Phyllis quickly fell quite unwell. Without the remedy that Sharon Newman discovered, Phyllis might have met a terrible end because she was in excruciating pain from the burn in her stomach. But since the antidote was created by a lunatic, there's no assurance that it was safe. Phyllis might have been given something to offset the toxin while also putting her at risk for further health problems in the future. At first, Phyllis was relieved, but if Martin was being twisted, then some delayed poison effects might be starting to take effect. We wouldn't rule out Martin adding additional nefarious elements to his plan. After the kidnapping event, Summer Newman provided Sharon and Nick Newman with some concerning details about Phyllis in the March 19 episode of Y&R. Summer claims that Phyllis has been acting strangely and erratically. Summer is accustomed to Phyllis's intense concentration, but lately she has become disorganized and loses her line of thought during casual conversations. Phyllis may be struggling to reintegrate into her real life or may be suffering from PTSD. Nevertheless, there's a possibility that something more significant is happening. After all the pandemonium of the kidnapping, paramedics checked Sharon and Phyllis out, but they really need to have had a more comprehensive examination at the hospital. After seeing Phyllis' medical crisis while they were confined, Sharon expressed her own worries in the episode on March 19 and emphasized that Phyllis could require medical attention. Before consuming poison and a potentially dubious remedy, Phyllis was drugged to bring her into captivity, thus she has a variety of unknown substances in her system. Does Martin have any more tricks in his sleeve regarding Phyllis's aftereffects? Summer will continue to make some disturbing predictions regarding Phyllis' condition, but only time will tell. Stay in for additional updates on Phyllis' condition, as spoilers for The Young and the Restless indicate that Billy Abbott will attempt to assist her as well in the next episodes. The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest Sharon Newman may have 4 new romance options to consider. Who will help Sharon move on from Nick Newman now that he has canceled the reunion? Sharon might get together with another ex on Canvas, but let's look at some whole fresh matching options instead. It's always wonderful for the program to liven things up with some new flying sparks, so here are some new romance options for Sharon. Holden Novak certainly wants to renew his romance with Audra Charles, but she may still put up a fight because she's committed to Nate Hastings. Although Holden flirted with Claire Newman as well, she has made her own commitment to Kyle Abbott and may be unwilling to stray. It is easy to envision Holden looking elsewhere for a hot hookup at some point. Sharon and Holden may have some chemistry if given the chance, but it doesn't have to be serious. Should Y&R allow Holden and Sharon to hit the sheets? Damien Kane is another new face on Canvas who hasn't been formally taken yet. Despite Damien's desire in Lily Winters, they will undoubtedly encounter some significant roadblocks. Damien is keeping his agenda a secret, so Lily will be upset if further information is revealed. If Lily ultimately rejects Damien, at least temporarily, he may end up in bed with someone else. Would you be amenable to Sharon and Damien having a one-night stand? Aristotle Dumas. There's been a lot of buzz about Aristotle Dumas, so Sharon may be a potential love interest for him once he arrives in Genoa City. It would be interesting to see Sharon fall for this sleazy business tycoon, possibly revealing a softer side of him. Daniel. Although Daniel Romalotti Jr. is definitely not fresh to the canvas, his romance with Sharon could be if Y&R chooses to go there. Could Sharon and Daniel form a decent match now that they have moved on from their previous pain? We can't think of a better way to test Sharon and Phyllis Summers' newfound understanding than by having Sharon sizzle with her kid. Regardless, The Young and the Restless spoilers indicate Sharon deserves the chance to move on from Nick, so Boo will help her get started. Sharon will make some guesses about what will happen next and try to sort things out, so keep an eye out for any major romantic developments. The Young and the Restless spoilers update for March 22 reveals that Alan Laurent aka Martin Laurent will snap over Tracy Abbott's questions while Billy Abbott asks Phyllis Summers forgiveness. At Billy's place, he'll fill Sally Spectra in on all the rescue drama, so she'll fret since he could have been walking into a trap. Billy will insist he had to step up for Phyllis, but he'll be perfectly content to let the police handle finding the kidnapper. At the GCAC, Summer Newman and Daniel Romalotti Jr. will embrace Phyllis, who'll enjoy a burger as she spills all the captivity details, including the fact that Sharon Newman saved her life. Sharon will also tell Nick Newman about Phyllis saving her with CPR as she updates him at the coffee house. There'll be some talk about how the captor seemed to know a lot about psychology since he knew all the right buttons to push. After Sharon compares the ordeal to an exorcism, she'll confess that she did manage to work through some of her past demons with Phyllis. Once Chance Chancellor and his backup dig around the room where Sharon and Phyllis were held, a clue will surface. Chance will find a remote-controlled device that was attached to the gas line, and then he'll trace the purchase of it to a hardware store near Havenhurst. After Chance spills that news to Nick and Sharon, he'll suggest they can look into the security footage and see if anyone recognizable pops up. Considering how much Sharon has been through, Chance will point out that no one would blame her if she needed to get out of town for a while. Nick will agree, so he'll think maybe Sharon should visit Noah Newman in Europe and take Faith Newman with her. Sharon will be willing to go if Nick comes as well, so she'll catch him off guard with her suggestion. Back at Billy's place, Phyllis will get emotional as she begs him to let her dive into things at Abbott Communications. Billy will feel like Phyllis needs to recover from her ordeal, but she'll argue that work is what she needs instead. Since Billy assumed Phyllis abandoned him at first, he'll admit he didn't put her name on the press release. The Young and the Restless spoilers for March 22 reveal that Martin Lawrence's grand final will get underway while Chance Chancellor passes along the clue. Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman will also face their last chance to survive, so let's talk about what's coming up. In captivity, Sharon and Phyllis will try to nail down where exactly in the room the camera is. The goal will be to turn it off and ruin the kidnapper's fun so that he'll ultimately be forced to show his face. However, Phyllis and Sharon could be punished for trying to make their own rules. This is a very elaborate experiment that was designed with total control in mind, so Martin, who is seemingly posing as his twin brother, Alan Laurent, may retaliate. Whatever the case, Martin will obviously have some sort of grand final in store when it comes to this kidnapping chaos. Phyllis and Sharon will find themselves in a desperate struggle to survive, so there could be an explosive device with a countdown or even some sort of toxic gas that gets pumped in the room. Of course, it's possible Alan will excuse himself from his engagement celebration with Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland, and head over to Havenhurst at some point. Could that lead to Alan getting busted there? Regardless, Y&R spoilers say Nick Newman and Billy Abbott will eventually arrive at the clinic in hopes of pulling off a rescue. Chance won't be far behind, and will come with updates on a clue, so this could help them save the captives and potentially expose Alan as well. It sounds like Martin may lose control of his plot, so that should bring some wild moments. The climax of this kidnapping storyline will deliver some scary twists and turns, but Phyllis and Sharon will score freedom in the end. Sadly, the Young and the Restless spoilers say Tracy will face total devastation when she realizes everything she thought she knew about Alan is a lie. Although Tracy will continue making predictions about her bright future with Alan, she'll inevitably face some crushing news soon. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Sharon Newman could have 4 new romantic options to consider. Who will help Sharon move on from Nick Newman now that he's shut down a reunion? Sharon might get together with another ex on canvas, but let's focus on some brand new pairing possibilities instead. It's always nice when the show can shake things up with some fresh flying sparks, so here are some new romantic candidates for Sharon. Holden Novak would clearly like to reignite his romance with Audra Charles, but she may keep putting up a fight since she's committed to Nate Hastings. Although Holden flirted with Claire Newman as well, she's made a commitment of her own to Kyle Abbott, and may not be willing to stray. It's easy to imagine Holden turning elsewhere for a sizzling hookup at some point. It wouldn't necessarily have to be anything serious between them, but Sharon and Holden just might have some chemistry if given the chance. Should Y&R let Holden and Sharon hit the sheets? Damien Damian Kane is another new guy on Canvas who isn't officially taken yet. Although Damian is showing interest in Lily Winter's chair bound to face some major bumps in the road. Damian is keeping secrets when it comes to his agenda, so Lily won't be pleased once more details come to light. If Lily ultimately rejects Damian, at least for a while, he might land in bed with someone else. Would you be open to a Sharon and Damian pairing, even if it's just a one-night stand? Aristotle Dumas. There's been a lot of talk about Aristotle Dumas, so maybe Sharon could become a love interest option for him once he inevitably hits Genoa City. It might be interesting to see Sharon fall for this shady business tycoon, and perhaps bring out a softer side of him. Daniel. Although Daniel Romalotti Jr. obviously isn't new on Canvas, his romance with Sharon could be if I&R decides to go there. Could Sharon and Daniel make a good match after moving beyond all the pain of the past? We can't think of a better way to put Sharon and Phyllis Summers' newfound understanding to the test than to have Sharon sizzle with her son. Regardless, the Young and the Restless spoilers say Sharon deserves an opportunity to move on from Nick, so who will help her get started on that? Sharon will make some predictions about what's next and try to figure things out, so stay tuned for updates on any big romantic news that might be looming. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Phyllis Summers is dealing with some scary symptoms that could spell trouble. Could Martin Laurent aka Alan Laurent have arranged for some delayed poison effects? During Phyllis' time in captivity, she drank a bottle of water and became seriously ill soon after. Phyllis was in total agony due to the burn in her stomach and might face a grim fate without the antidote Sharon Newman found. However, there's no guarantee that antidote was safe since it came from a madman. It's possible that Phyllis was given something to counteract the poison while setting her up for more health issues later. Phyllis felt relief initially, but now some delayed poison effects could be kicking in if that's what Twisted Martin had in mind. We certainly wouldn't put it past Martin to create some other sinister layers to his scheme. In Y&R's March 19 episode, Summer Newman gave Sharon and Nick Newman some alarming updates on Phyllis following the kidnapping ordeal. According to Summer, Phyllis seems off and has been exhibiting some erratic behavior. Summer's used to Phyllis being super focused, but now she's scattered and losing her train of thought in a simple conversation. It's possible Phyllis is dealing with PTSD or just having a rough time adjusting to her real life again. That said, there's a chance something more serious is going on here. Sharon and Phyllis were checked out by paramedics following all the abduction chaos, but they really should have had a more thorough examination at the hospital. Since Sharon witnessed Phyllis' medical crisis when they were locked up, she voiced concerns of her own in the March 19 episode and insisted Phyllis might need a doctor. Phyllis was drugged to get her into captivity before ingesting poison and a potentially sketchy antidote, so she's had all kinds of unidentified stuff in her system. Could Martin have another trick up his sleeve when it comes to the lingering effects on Phyllis? Time will tell, but Summer will continue to make some unsettling predictions about Phyllis' condition. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Billy Abbott will try to help Phyllis as well in the coming episodes, so stay tuned for more news on her health.